It's still unclear whether President Cyril Ramaphosa will indeed suspend Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe following a recommendation by the Judicial Services Commission to do exactly that. Last year, the JSC found Hlophe guilty of gross misconduct for trying to sway two Constitutional Court judges to rule in favour of then President or former President Jacob Zuma. That was in 2008. So organizations including Freedom Under Law have been in support of Hlophe's suspension. They've welcomed the JSC's recommendation as well. Let's speak to the chair of Freedom Under Law, Judge Johann Kriegler, joins us via our video link this morning. Great to have you with us on the program this morning. Judge, does this pave the way, this recommendation of the suspension of Hlophe, and if indeed the President does go ahead and make that decision for his impeachment?
You know, the suspension in terms of the Constitution is just about an automatic response once a judge has been found guilty of gross misconduct. Mm-hmm. In the case of a judge president, I suggest that the need to have him removed from the day-to-day administration of the courts is even more compelling. But it's up to the president to weigh at the moment. It will be a massive decision if indeed
Hlophe is suspended, Justice Kriegler. It will be the first impeachment of a judge in South Africa's democratic history. How do we read that?
Well, the suspension and the impeachment are two separate steps. The impeachment is at the moment subject to a court case brought by Judge Hlophe some time ago that he wanted and asked the Gauteng High Court to set aside his conviction. That court refused it, and that refusal is now on appeal to the Supreme Court of Appeal. Right. So we're not talking about impeachment at this stage. We're merely talking about suspension.
Okay, so let's focus on the suspension then. The Western Cape High Court itself, Mbekezeli Benjamin, who's with Judges Matter, talks about the court being under severe stress over recent times, and that this is a step that should be taken by the President to suspend Hlophe and should be taken without delay. Do you agree with that?
Certainly. It should have been taken long ago. You cannot imagine what the atmosphere must be in judicial circles, in judges' chambers, where the judge president has been found guilty of gross misconduct in trying to interfere with the judgment of a court. He has to live with, work with, supervise, exercise authority over judges. He himself has such a very, very dark cloud hanging over him. It is actually very, very difficult indeed.
So the Western Cape Division of the High Court, in your opinion, Justice Kriegler, would not suffer in Hlophe's absence?
Oh, on the contrary. On the contrary. There is a deputy judge president there. There are the requisite number of competent judges there. The suspension of Judge Hlophe would and should have no effect on the efficiency to the downside. On the contrary, if he is removed, an undesirable influence within that court will be removed. And hopefully the division which there is at the moment will over time dissipate as judges meet normally, collegially as they should, and not have the divided court that you have at the moment.
Yeah. Freedom Under Law has also said that actually keeping Hlophe in that position would threaten the ability of acting and junior judges to act independently. Justice Kriegler, how so?
That is so. He is by far the most senior black judge in the country. He is an immensely powerful and intelligent man. He can, as we have seen, try to influence juniors of his in a particular political case. He did it in the case of Mr. Zuma 14 years ago. He was seen by the Supreme Court of Appeal in the Mulahutsi case to have appeared to be biased. He is not the kind of character that you would like to see sitting on the bench, particularly if you're involved in a political case. It can only be to the advantage of the division not to have him in the background with a lot of other judges whom he has to pick and allocate for particular cases.
Justice Johann Kriegler, Chair of Freedom Under Law, let me thank you for your time this morning. Thanks for weighing in on that discussion. Freedom Under Law also saying that it's unthinkable that a person convicted of attempting to pervert the course of justice can continue to head one of the country's busiest courts, referring there to John Hlophe, of course. That's a story we're tracking for you this morning.